Okay, so let's get right into this video. This video is specifically about Commissioner Martin O'Malley, who's like the president of the Social Security Administration, who is overseeing basically retirement, disability, disabled little children, widows benefits, spousal benefits, etc. This video is specifically about what's going on with his requirements, his requests specifically for money for the Social Security Administration. Now, there is a situation going on. As you know, Republicans are basically attacking the quality of the 800 number, the wait times for disability benefits, etc. At the same time, Republicans are basically squeezing the SSA and saying, you don't need any more funds, you don't need any more money to go ahead and continue to administer this particular agency. And as a result of that, what's happening is the Democrats are really seizing the opportunity from the Republicans to make Social Security voters vote for them. And that is why I believe Commissioner Kijakazi was removed and Commissioner Martin O'Malley, a known governor, political, winner, somebody who's been voted in before, somebody that the people really liked, was put in place of Commissioner Kijakazi. And the reason why this is that now Democrats have an opening to really force and wedge that they are the ones who are trying to take care of Social Security benefits. They're the ones trying to increase the operating budget of the Social Security Administration because they're in a employee crisis right now. There was an article, it was produced today, Social Security Commissioner in Pittsburgh, agency's challenges are solvable. This is by 90.5 WSA, by Kate Giamaris. Specifically, it was published today, September 23rd, 2024, 5:31 a.m. Let's go through it real quick. Social Security Administration Commissioner Martin O'Malley testifies on Capitol Hill, March 2024. In Washington, O'Malley visited the Social Security field office in Pittsburgh on Friday, September 20th, 2024. As part of a national tour focused on customer service improvements, Social Security Commissioner Martin O'Malley visited that Pittsburgh office on Friday. O'Malley said he planned to meet the local office staff and leaders. Quote, an office like this, you walk around, you look at it. There's a lot of open windows without people there. And that's not because people just decided not to show up to serve customers. It's because we no longer have the staff we did, he said. So just so you guys understand, the SSA, and we don't have the exact numbers out right now, it was teetering between 55,000 and 50,000 employees. They need around 90,000 to properly actually perform their duties, do everything correctly, make sure the 800 numbers consistently answering, etc. So they're working with around half-ish of the amount of employees that they're supposed to. We think on this end, without receiving the numbers yet, that they're down to around 45,000 employees, which, just to be clear, is like 30-year-ish low. So if you go back 30 years when they didn't have, when they had a fraction of the amount of retired, a fraction of the amount of disabled, a fraction amount of those individuals, if you went back that far, what you would realize is that they have the same amount of employees as back then, which is, it's chaos. And some will argue, well, now they have computer automation and yada, yada, yada. Yes, computer automation helps. But the SSA, as bad as the trust funds are at failing, that is a crisis. A more current, prudent, horrible situation, crisis mode, is the employee basically capacity to hire and fund more employees. They are hiring a lot of people coming out of college. They train them a little bit, they quit. The reason why, it's a tough job without a lot of pay. So it's a difficult situation for the SSA right now. And what he's saying in this quote is that literally office after office after office after office is empty at the Social Security Administration as a result of them not having the funding to hire more people. And when they do hire more people, they want to quit because they don't pay them enough. And they're also not, which is another issue, getting the quality of employee that they're really hoping for. All right, next thing. The behemoth federal agency has more than 1,200 field offices nationwide where people can seek in-person assistance, such as the office in the Joseph W. Weiss Jr. Federal Courthouse downtown, where O'Malley visited Friday. The agency has fewer staff than any time in the last, so this is new, in the last 50 years. That's new. That's really new. Because remember, it was stuck at 25 years for a while now. If it's lower staff than the last 50 years, we might be down to 40,000, 35,000 employees. But it is serving more customers than ever before as the baby boomer generation is growing older, O'Malley said. In addition to its in-person offices, there's also a hotline for claimants to call. Staffing struggles, which have been well documented in recent years, are due to congressional underfunding, he said. The agency has made strides in improving wait times and cutting down on pandemic-era backlog, O'Malley said. but it requires more funding from Congress. Remember, O'Malley took all those CDI people, or not CDI, CDR people, those continuing disability review people that would review to see if people were still disabled, and he swapped most of them to go ahead and process initial filings to get rid of that giant backlog. Here's a quote: "The people have a heart, commitment, and passion for the mission, but we need Congress to step up and help us too," he said. And what he means by help us too, he needs more money to run the SSA administration portion, and he needs those employees that are getting hired to have a higher actual benefit rate, where they're getting paid a higher annual salary than what they're currently set at with Congress. Because bottom line is, nobody's really wanting to become a federal employee right now. Like, people go into the military for military purposes. They don't pay you shit, but it is what it is. But the benefits after the military service are absolutely incredible. However, with the SSA service, the benefits are okay, and the money is not good at all. It's crap, total crap. So he's saying, Congress, we need more money for the agency, and you need to raise what we're supposed to pay these individuals, because that's all set in pay caps, right? All right. President Biden's budget proposal would allow the agency to hire an additional 6,000 people, cutting down on backlog of processing claims. The additional positions would enable the agency to provide more prompt customer service for hotline callers and make more timely determinations in disability cases. The agency also struggled during the pandemic when field offices remained closed to in-person assistance for many months. The agency is still recovering from some of the backlog from this era, he said. While O'Malley, Commissioner Martin O'Malley, said Social Security does face long-term funding challenges, headlines stating it will go broke or bankrupt are misleading, he said. Still, he emphasized congressional action is required to prevent large benefit cuts in the future. So, will a portion of the SSA go broke or bankrupt? Yes, the trust funds will go broke or bankrupt around 2033, but likely before that, because they haven't calculated the fertility rates properly, because a lot of Americans, basically white middle-class America, they haven't been producing enough kids. And so that's the major issue, because that group right there produces the most people to re-enter into the middle-class area. So they don't have enough people being born and 18 years later going into the work environment. And that's what's going to screw this whole thing up. That's why the retired, like, if you don't have a plan for like getting more money somehow, you better like today start thinking of a plan of how you're going to have some extra money coming in. Okay, next thing, the customer service crisis. Here's a quote: "The customer service crisis is totally solvable problem, and the longer-term financial challenge is also a solvable problem," he said. "One possible solution to shore up the system's financial health would be to tax higher-income Americans. Currently, people only pay into Social Security up to $168,800 of earnings, above which wages are not taxed." This is a great advertisement for Democrats, because Democrats get to put it on a shirt, tax the rich, make them pay their fair share, whatever variation of that you want. It fits on a shirt, it's great, rah, rah, rah. But it's just never going to happen, because the rich will specifically pay a lot of money to put in politicians that will never vote for that to happen. They do not want the rich to go ahead and pay 15% more tax to potentially 17% more tax on the income that they already have. Quote: "A nurse working at a Mercy hospital all year pays into Social Security all year because she's probably not going to make up to $168,000. O'Malley said, so a billionaire like Warren Buffett only pays into Social Security up to that same $168,000, which means he's done paying into Social Security about 20 seconds after midnight on New Year's." Now, that's true. Warren Buffett is actually one of the best billionaires for us when it comes to the amount of taxes he actually pays, compared to, for example, like, Apple Computers or some of the Walmart family, the Waltons and things like that. So just to be clear, although he did shoot a shot at basically Warren Buffett's been pretty good about paying larger taxes with his corporations. So, but the point that he's saying is, super rich people, they go ahead and the instant, after basically, the instant the new year starts, boom, they've already paid, their max taxes for Social Security. Now, the problem you run into is that they would not reap the benefit of any financial increase in their Social Security benefit as a result of paying more taxes on it. So there's some, taxation without proper representation for, the Social Security benefits that they're supposed to receive. The counter to that argument is the 1937 Supreme Court ruling argument, which is that's just a tax. You get screwed no matter what you do, and they get to basically change the rules whenever they want. So that's the counter to that. However, again, the Democrat method, although it sounds great, goes on a t-shirt, prints on a t-shirt, it is not going to pass, because the rich are never going to put a new 15 to 17% tax on their income. Preventing a large benefit cut in the future is crucial. O'Malley emphasized half of all seniors living alone live entirely on their Social Security benefits. Next paragraph, the agency is second only to the Department of Defense in federal spending. Social Security paid out more than $1.38 trillion in benefits last year. O'Malley said, touching the lives of most Americans, Social Security is one of the most well-regarded government programs. It lifts more people out of poverty than any other government program. In addition to its more well-known retirement benefits, it also runs a large disability insurance and benefit program. Okay, so that's your 1950s SSDI program. O'Malley also said the visit to the Pittsburgh has special significance to him personally, as his father grew up in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's, quote, a very dear place to me. He said, it's a wonderful city. I've seen it. I've been there. Reminds me a little bit of Newark and basically like New York City kind of area, not right in the city part, but it is. I'm not a city person. You know me. I like farms, stuff like that. Now, I want to go specifically to basically around 6 months ago when he was sitting in front of the Senate Aging Committee. And then there's other times he was in front of the Senate, but I want to go to this. I want you to listen to the words he's saying because it helps describe specifically some of the issues that he's running into with basically convincing Congress to go ahead and give him more funding. Real quick, let's go into this real quick.
It's my great honor to be able to lead the men and women of this agency forward at a very, very tough time in their history. Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, I have been on a learning curve, a steep learning curve for the last 90 days. I have visited all 9 regions. I have yet to get to the Wilkes-Barre dock, but that's next on my list. And thank you for surfacing the concerns of those hardworking men and women who do such critical work, not just for, in their own region, but for the whole country. But I have done town halls with employees in 9 different regions. I did that over 16 days in January. I sat side by side with workers on the co-pilot headset, if you will, in the teleservice centers, on the other side of the glass as our frontline workers were interviewing people. And the most important 2 things I learned were these. Number 1, there is a deep commitment among not only the senior executive service of Social Security, but throughout the agency, a deep commitment to the mission of this agency. And that, as former Senator Mikulski said to me, is probably the most important asset that I have as the new leader of this agency. The second thing I learned is this, and I saw the symptoms of it very acutely on the front lines. Social Security is now serving more customers than ever before, with fewer staff than they've had in 27 days. And it is true that our ability to serve our customers is the intersection of people, process, some policy, and technology. And all of those things come together. Yeah, I was surprised to learn that Social Security now operates on less than 1% of its annual benefit payments. And this operating overhead has effectively been reduced by about 20% just over the last 10 years. In other words, in 2018, when you looked at our overhead as percentage of outlays, it was about 1.2%. In the president's budget, which is a solid step in the right direction, it is 0.96 of 1%. So what is the result of that? The result is that we are in a customer service crisis, with people waiting on average 38 minutes for the 800 number agent to answer their call. People with disability waiting nearly 8 months on average, some states better than others, but on average 8 months for a decision on their initial application, and then another 7 months for the ALJ if they have to appeal it to an ALJ hearing. So clearly we can and must do better. And
So what is he saying here? All right. So here's the basic thing that you have to keep in mind with this whole situation. What he's saying is they don't have enough money to process claims because they don't have enough money to hire enough people, because they don't have enough money each year, because they continuously each year have less money to process even more benefits that have to be paid out to more people, because the boomers are just a massive, massive age group. Now, with America, if you look at how it kind of works, the boomers, post-war kind of yada yada, being born as a result of, the war ending, these baby boomers, right? It's a huge group. And after that, these new groups, these new generations, they're not having as many kids, and the fertility rate is dropping. And again, the major problematic area is this white middle class group. They're not making enough kids. They're not earning enough money. And that's the core. That's the core that basically pays for the most retirement benefits, the most disability benefits. That is the group that needs to be basically healthy in order to continue to uphold this entire program. Now, obviously, other minority groups add them on to that, yes. But the core group that's sick and not doing well, and it's a really, really tricky situation, is basically that middle income, Caucasian based group. They're not having enough babies. They're not making enough money. So as a result of that giant chunk of people, that giant middle class right there, is not going to be able to pay for the future of retirement benefits like everybody hoped, wanted, whatever. And so as a result of that, those boomers who are all going to retirement and a massive amount of retiring each and every month, that group basically is going to have to take a financial cut. Now, a lot of people have been telling me over the decades that essentially they'll fix it. Congress will come out with something, they'll fix it. I have zero faith in any person that suggests to me that Congress has a plan that they're going to use to fix it. The Republicans are trying to squeeze the program because it is not something they want to invest into. The Democrats are trying to promote an idea that's never going to get a pass, that's never going to go ahead and be put through. So what we have here is a stalemate between the Republicans and the Democrats. And while he is, obviously, Commissioner Martin O'Malley is a Democrat, and while he is promoting the idea, that is the idea of President Biden, Vice President Harris, and other Democrats as well, it's just never going to get passed. So what's happening is he is basically reaching over and saying, guys, across the aisle, Republicans, Democrats, independents, the SSA needs more money. People have to wait far too long. Now, the statistics he gave for initial filing, disability claims, 7 months for the ALJ hearing, those are not realistic for essentially actual real world application, because those are the metrics that include all the people who basically drop out really quickly or have their claim, basically denied or withdrawn almost immediately. So realistically, it takes around 17 to 18 months at the initial filing level, around 17 to 18 months at the reconsideration level. That's around 12 to 18 months for the ALJ hearing level. So, and that's without expedited analysis or expedited help. And remember, most of the expedited procedures under the I-2-1-40 subsection A1 through 6 statute, basically, they just, at this point, they don't really speed things up massively. I mean, sure, the terminal illness ones do, sure, the SUIC, HOMI ones do, but for the most part, it's not like it used to be, and the fastest claim I had ever done was a 2-dayer, followed by a 2-weeker, stuff like that. But, bottom line is that those days, they're gone. They're over. They're never coming back. It's just not happening. So where we're at is, unfortunately, there are many ways that you can kill off an agency that with the federal government, right? Like with Trump, with the, EPA, stuff like that. The Republican group wants to reduce the amount of money it has to process the benefits and make people lose faith in it. The Democrats want to present bills that will never get passed that could potentially fix it by making the rich pay their fair share. Everybody always yells at me, just make the rich pay their fair share. But just to be fair, the rich who, and I know this is going to be something that people are going to hate when I say it, the rich, the ones who earned it, they're bright. They're very bright. And they understand investments very well. And the investment is they don't want new laws. They're going to charge them 15 to 17% more per basically year of all their potential income. So I did this before. I'm just going to do it one more time so people understand the math behind this. But let's say you had a rich person, right? And they made, let's say, $35 million in income for that year, right? So let's get our zeros lined up. Cool. Now we multiply that by, let's do 0.16, 16%. That rich person, just to understand, of his $35 million of potential earned income. And we're not talking about like Bezos style. Bezos makes like 1.7 million and then basically everything else is debt transfer. But for a rich person actually making income of, $35 million at 16%ish, right? Because we're just doing general numbers right now. They would have to pay a new tax of almost nearly $5,600,000. So just to clarify, if a rich person over, let's say, a 4-year period had to cover making sure that none of these Democrats actually passed, even if they presented it, it would never make it out of committee. Nobody would allow that bill to come out of committee to tax the rich more. He would go ahead each year and be willing to spend $5,600,000. And over a presidential term of 4 years, that equates to, just so you understand, $22,400,000 that rich person would be willing to spend to make sure that going forward for the rest of their life, they would not have to pay that extra 15 to 17% tax increase for Social Security benefits plus Medicare. So just to be very clear here, there's no way that's ever going to pass. It's never going to pass. The rich are never going to allow it. A lot of Americans say we need to stand up. We need to get together. We need to do that. Y'all don't own the politicians, okay? You don't. You didn't pay for them to get in. Your votes are, your vote means this compared to the person who paid millions to sit their butt in that chair. So just to be very clear, you could have supported a particular individual. You could have, said, hey, here's this idea, here's that idea. But when the big donors come down, the big donors dictate what they allow those politicians to go ahead and vote on. And the big thing to remember is that it's not hard to kill a bill. All it has to do is not make it through committee, because there's no rules and regulations that force them to make a decision on that bill in that committee. And that's why bills hit the committee, they sit there, and they die. And that's what happens with these bills. And that's why a lot of them don't become law. It's not that, they don't want to go ahead and look at them, because the main thing is if they don't want it to pass, they just have to not bring it to vote. They just have to have no appetite for the bill. So with that said, just to be fair, the SSA is in a state of total and complete crisis. Some of you believe that, putting Trump in will fix that. The Republican Party, Trump's more middle ground Republican, like with, independent Trump and then rhinos, right? Really, really far right. And then you got independents going a little left now, and you've got basically RFK. And then, you take a ball, you throw it as hard as you can to the left, and that's where you get Harris, and that's where you get Biden. So, bottom line is this. When you look at the spectrum of this entire thing, the future of the SSA is really dependent on the American people creating some sort of caucus or, voting capacity that these politicians actually fear, that has funding to destroy and fire politicians and remove them from office if they do not go ahead and protect Social Security benefits. I'd love to be doing something like that, but of course, I work at the law firm, and the law firm takes up most of the day. And then I do these videos at night, which is why it's 1:09 a.m., and we still have one more video to go. With that said, just so you understand the basics of this whole thing, the SSA continues to not have enough funding going forward to actually continue to process things well. They get better technology, newer technology. That's why they're just holding on with their bare teeth by the skin of their gums at this point. But I need you to understand, it's going to get worse. Commissioner Martin Malley's doing an amazing job, but the SSA is going to get worse. They're going to slow down. They're going to take more time. Their decisions are going to be more weird. The training that people get is going to be more all over the place when you actually have to deal with them after they finish their training. That is the progression you should expect from this. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. They don't have the money to make it better. They don't have the working communication systems to make it better. It's just going to get worse. Money could fix this. It absolutely could, but Congress isn't going to give it to them. And that's because the Republicans don't want to see taxation for rich people, and they want to see the program not taking so much from the federal budget. And the Democrats don't basically have a real solution that is beyond a cool t-shirt idea of make the rich pay their fair share. So what you have is basically a program that is slowly being strangled out of the American existence. And that's sad because, to be fair, the government exists for only one reason, and that is to protect its citizens. And protecting the citizens when they're disabled, they're retired, etc., that's important. Having a military to protect them, that's important. But we do spend a lot of money on a lot of bullshit that does not actually mean a good bottom line for the American people. Didn't say anything about immigration, didn't say anything about funding entire countries to keep them alive. But anyways, I will catch you guys at the next video. Please remember to like and subscribe, Attorney Walter Hnot. Also, if you learned something from this video, please head over to Google and type in Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida. Throw some reviews up there, throw some stars up there. I always appreciate it. I love seeing the fives, but I will catch you guys a little bit later. Remember, I go live on Monday and Thursday, like we just did the video before this. And then if you want to hire me for a private hour where I go through a tricky situation or you want to run hearing questions, mini contract is below. I will catch you the next video in about 10 minutes. That's the big breaking news one. That's where an emergency message from the SSA was released today. And I'm going to go ahead and read to you specifically what it goes into. All right, I'll catch you in the next video. Give me about 10 minutes and we'll go from there. Attorney Walter Hnot, thank you so much. All right, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.